What if I told you there's an ancient Hawaiian practice that could completely transform your reality in just minutes a day? So powerful that a therapist used it to heal an entire ward of criminally insane patients without ever meeting them. But why do we struggle to change despite our best efforts? We set intentions, create vision boards, repeat affirmations, yet so many of us find ourselves stuck in the same patterns month after month, year after year. Then we blame circumstances, other people, bad luck, or timing. What's so fascinating here? It's that across ancient wisdom traditions, there's a common thread that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. Then it's a principle so counterintuitive that most people initially resist it, yet those who embrace it report profound shifts in their reality. So the ancient Hawaiians understood something about consciousness that quantum physics is only now confirming. And this understanding is the foundation of Hooponopono's incredible power. But doesn't this mean blaming yourself? No, it means acknowledging your power to heal whatever appears in your reality by accepting 100% responsibility for everything in your experience. So, try this daily affirmation. I accept that everything in my experience is my responsibility to heal, and in healing myself I heal my entire reality. But how do you know what to clean if you can't identify the problem? Most of us move through life on autopilot, reacting to triggers without understanding why certain situations affect us so deeply. So we wonder why the same types of relationships keep appearing, or why financial abundance seems to flow to everyone except us. But what's happening beneath the surface? That is far more powerful than most realize. Scientists estimate that up to 95% of our behavior is driven by the subconscious mind, patterns installed long before we had the critical thinking skills to evaluate them. So these hidden programs are like invisible software running your life, making decisions for you, creating emotions, and attracting situations that confirm your deepest beliefs about yourself and the world. But how you could multitask your mental and physical cleaning at once? For centuries, spiritual traditions have recognized the connection between our external environment and our internal state. When our space is cluttered, our mind often follows suit. So, most modern manifestation techniques ignore this critical connection. But what happens when we engage our physical senses in the process of transformation? There's something powerful going on, when the mind responds to symbols and metaphors in ways that go beyond conscious understanding. But how was this discovered? Indigenous cultures have known this for thousands of years. Ritual and physical action create pathways for energetic change. Then studies in embodied cognition show that physical movement and action can reshape our thought patterns. So this is why the most effective manifestation techniques involve the body, not just the mind. But why limit yourself to just the basic phrases? The Hooponopono mantra, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," has helped countless people create meaningful change. Then many practitioners hit a plateau after a few months, finding that certain stubborn patterns remain resistant to change. But what is it that most teachers don't explain? It's that traditional phrases are like keys that unlock specific energetic doors within your consciousness. So each phrase addresses a particular aspect of healing: remorse, forgiveness, gratitude, love. But what about the nuanced spaces between these fundamental energies? Ancient Hawaiian kahunas understood that consciousness exists in layers. So the most profound transformation happens when we can precisely target the specific layer where the memory or pattern is stored, like having a master key versus having the exact key for each lock. But what about expanding these phrases? When modern practitioners expanded these phrases in clinical settings, they discovered something remarkable. So subtle variations in language created dramatic differences in healing speed and depth. But what is so surprising here? It's recognizing that expanding the traditional 4 phrases can address deeper layers of consciousness, targeting specific aspects of subconscious programming. So use these enhanced phrases whenever you feel triggered. "I'm sorry for the thoughts and beliefs within me creating this situation. Please forgive me for participating in these patterns. Thank you for the opportunity to release these memories. I love you and release you from my subconscious." But how can you amplify these effects throughout your entire body? For millennia, water has been used in purification rituals across every spiritual tradition. From baptism to ritual baths, humanity has intuitively understood water's transformative properties. But does modern science explain why this is happening? Dr. Masaru Emoto's controversial water crystal experiments suggested something remarkable, that water might actually respond to human intention and emotion. So while debated in scientific circles, Hooponopono practitioners report profound shifts when incorporating water into their practice. But what makes water so unique in this process? Water comprises about 60% of the human body, so every cell, tissue, and organ depends on it. But if consciousness affects water, and it permeates our entire system, could it be the perfect conductor for intentional healing? Traditional Hawaiian healers believed memories were stored not just in the mind, but throughout the body's cellular structure, and we need a method that can reach every cell, not just our conscious thoughts. So each morning, fill a glass with water and speak your cleaning phrases to it before drinking. Then, as you drink, visualize the water carrying healing energy to every cell in your body, clearing old memories and programs. But what if you forget to practice during your busy day? In our hyper-scheduled world, even the most committed practitioners struggle with consistency. We intend to practice daily, but life intervenes. Then meetings run long, children need attention, and suddenly we realize we haven't done our cleaning work at all. But how did the Hawaiians practice this? Ancient Hawaiians recognized that any spiritual practice that couldn't be integrated into daily life would ultimately fail. So, they understood something profound about human nature, that sustainable transformation requires practices that can be performed anywhere, anytime, without special equipment or ideal conditions. But what if the solution was literally right under your nose? Something so fundamental to existence that you do it roughly 20,000 times a day without conscious thought. Breath has been used in spiritual practices across cultures for millennia. It is the bridge between conscious and unconscious processes in the body. So, when we regulate our breath intentionally, we gain access to systems typically beyond conscious control, including our emotional responses. But what is the most important here? It's that integrating the practice with breathing makes it accessible anytime, anywhere, synchronizing breath with the 4 phrases to anchor the practice in your nervous system. So, develop this specific breathing pattern. Inhale deeply while thinking "I'm sorry." Hold while thinking "Please forgive me." Exhale slowly while thinking "Thank you." Hold briefly while thinking "I love you." Then practice this for 5 minutes daily. But what about those parts of yourself you'd rather pretend don't exist? We all have aspects of ourselves we prefer to keep hidden. The jealous part, the judgmental part, the part that secretly scrolls through an ex's social media at 2 a.m. So, most spiritual practices encourage us to focus on light and positivity, inadvertently suggesting that these darker aspects should be suppressed or ignored. But what if we ignore these? Carl Jung warned that what you resist persists. When we deny these shadow aspects, they don't disappear. They gain power in our unconscious mind and sabotage our manifestations in mysterious ways. But how do some people create the same painful situations repeatedly, despite their best intentions? Or how do your manifestations seem to work in certain areas of life but not others? There's a hidden mechanism at work here that most manifestation teachers never address. So, what's particularly fascinating is that the aspects of ourselves we reject hold the very qualities we need to manifest our desires. The parts we label as bad or unspiritual contain our greatest untapped power. But when does the change happen? It's in recognizing that our greatest manifestation blocks often hide in our shadow, and these disowned aspects continue to influence our reality until we acknowledge and clean them. So create a dialogue with the aspect of yourself resisting your desired manifestation. Ask, "What are you trying to protect me from?" Then clean on whatever arises. But when is the most effective time to visualize your goals? Visualization has become a mainstream manifestation technique, with millions using it daily. Yet many people visualize consistently for months or even years without seeing tangible results, leading to frustration and doubt in the process. But what is it that most teachers don't explain? It's that the state of consciousness from which you visualize matters far more than the technique itself. So, imagine trying to broadcast a radio signal through static versus through clear airwaves. Then the same principle applies to visualization. Your mental environment determines how effectively your intentions reach the quantum field. But is this scientifically proven? Neuroscience has demonstrated that mental rehearsal activates many of the same neural networks as physical action. Athletes who visualize their performance show measurable improvement even without physical practice. The key factor in these studies is the mental clarity of the subjects. Visualization performed in a state of mental noise produces minimal results. But what prevents us from manifestation? Most of us visualize our desires while still carrying the very mental programs that prevent their manifestation. So, it's like planting seeds in soil filled with weed roots. The new growth doesn't stand a chance. But why is timing so important? Visualization after cleaning is exponentially more powerful than visualization from a cluttered mental state. So, after your Hooponopono practice, visualize yourself already being the person you want to become from this clean state. But how do you apply this to daily decisions? We make thousands of conscious decisions every day. From what to wear to major life choices, these decisions create our reality. So, most of us make these choices from our subconscious programming, not from our highest wisdom. But how to make a decision that would feel right in the moment, not to regret it almost immediately afterward. How not to choose repeatedly situations that don't align with your goals. This disconnect between our conscious desires and our choices shows the invisible hand of subconscious programming. So, the traditional decision-making frameworks focus on logical analysis, pros and cons, and anticipated outcomes. But what do they miss? It's the crucial element of consciousness. The state from which we make these decisions matters more than the analytical process itself. Then, ancient wisdom traditions understood something profound about decision-making that modern psychology is only starting to recognize. So, the questions we ask ourselves literally shape our perception and possibilities. But what about that person who drives you absolutely crazy? Relationships are often our greatest source of joy and our most persistent triggers. Then we've all experienced that person who seems specifically designed to push every button we have. Maybe it's a critical parent, a micromanaging boss, or that one relative who asks when you're going to get a real job at every family gathering. So conventional wisdom tells us we have three options: confront them, avoid them, or reluctantly tolerate them. But what if there's a fourth option that transforms the relationship without requiring the other person to change at all? Quantum physics suggests that separation is an illusion. So, at the quantum level, particles that once interacted remain mysteriously connected regardless of distance. But what if our consciousness works the same way? What if everyone in our experience is, at some level, connected to our own consciousness? Dr. Ihalikala Hugh Len, the psychologist who famously healed a ward of criminally insane patients without meeting them, based his entire approach on this principle. But how could changing your own consciousness affect someone else's behavior? The profound understanding is that in Hooponopono, all relationships are within your consciousness, and cleaning the relationship within yourself changes the external dynamic without manipulating the other person. So, practice proxy cleaning. Visualize the person or relationship and repeat, "The part of me that created this dynamic is healed now. I clean the memories running between us. I release us both to our highest good." But how do you deal with those deep-seated beliefs that have been with you forever? We all have core beliefs about ourselves that feel so fundamental they seem like absolute truth. I'm not good with money, I always mess up relationships, success requires struggle. So these aren't just thoughts, they're identity structures that have been reinforced thousands of times throughout our lives. But how can we change these beliefs? Conventional wisdom says changing them requires months or years of affirmations, therapy, or conscious reprogramming. Then many people find that even after years of work, these beliefs resurface in moments of stress or challenge. But what is science saying in this regard? Neuroscience has recently discovered that beliefs aren't static entities hardwired into our brains. They're dynamic neural networks that require constant reinforcement. So when we interrupt the reinforcement pattern decisively, remarkable change becomes possible. Then the traditional Hooponopono approach would be to simply clean on whatever arises. But what if we could accelerate this process with a more direct intervention at the belief level? What if we could literally reinstall our mental operating system? The breakthrough understanding is that identifying deep-seated beliefs isn't enough. This technique creates a clean break from old programming and installs new beliefs intentionally. So try this powerful practice. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I erase the program that I am limiting belief." Then state, "I replace it with the truth that I am empowering belief." Follow with the 4 Hooponopono phrases to clean this transition. But how do you maintain your momentum? Many spiritual practices create temporary shifts that fade within days or weeks. Then we've all experienced that post-retreat high that gradually diminishes as we return to our normal routines. So the initial excitement of a new practice gives way to forgetting, inconsistency, and eventually, abandonment. But what do researchers find here? Neuroplasticity research shows that creating lasting change requires consistent reinforcement over time. So a single powerful experience might create a temporary neural pathway. But without reinforcement, the brain prunes unused connections and reverts to established patterns. But what if gratitude isn't just a response to receiving? What if it's actually the catalyst that accelerates receiving? Gratitude is the most powerful manifestation accelerator when combined with cleaning, creating a perpetual cycle between gratitude and cleaning that amplifies both practices. So, each night, write, "Thank you for showing me I am now your ideal self-description." This creates a powerful loop gratitude. Cleaning, Manifestation. More gratitude.